Good day, RWA staff, and welcome to this training video, which will conduct a deep dive analysis of some sample data. Some of the stuff that we've done before, I'm going to try and go through it quickly, and this is getting the total for every student. So I'm thinking of all the students and their totals and their percentage. So I select the data plus an extra column. Then I choose from this drop down the sum function, which will actually sum them up. Done. Next one will be, how can I calculate the percentage of this out of the overall? So this student got 29 out of 60. How much is that in percentage? There's more than one way. Maybe I'm going to try the easiest way this time around. That's equal what he got, divide that by the total, which is 60. I hit enter. Now this is going to be a 0.48 and then threes. I could click on this and change it to a percentage. Click on that dot. You see the bottom right of the cell. Click on it. My mouse has to be a solid plus. I click and then I drag down, and that is done. I go over there to the scale by scale or question by question. In here, I am going to do an average again, but only for one, and you will see why. This average, I do not want to include the available mark, which is the very first one, because it's not the actual data. The data starts from there all the way up to there. This is going to give me 4.25. So the student's average was 4.25. To make some sense out of this, I'm going to change it to a percentage by going to the formula bar, dividing it by the maximum, which is in this case 7. But I'm going to choose B2, and you will see why in a second. And then I'm going to, this is going to be 0.61 again. So I could technically click on this and change it to a percentage. That will be 61%. I will choose, again, the bottom right of the cell, click and drag it to the right, and I got all the percentages. Now, the next step, or the next idea that we want to look at this data and see how many students got below expected. Now, this could be a step, this could be a percentage, it could be a number. I'm going to try it this way. As this is 7, I am going to say everybody who got below 4 is below expected, and everybody who got 4 and above is expected. Okay? So to do that, I'm going to use a new function called COUNTIF. Now the COUNTIF is not there. I'm going to have to get it up. So I write it. I need to do this again. Under this fx, it says insert function. I click once, and then I type the function I want, hit enter. That function is going to pop up there in another second or so. Okay, my function is there. Slow computer today. I don't even know what happened. Now let's try this again. Oh, here we go. Yes, it is. So these little glitches happen. I'm going to leave this in the video, even though it's a little mistake, but it's fine. So COUNTIF is there. I click OK. With the COUNTIF, it has two parameters. The first one is it's telling you where do you want me to count. In this case, I'm going to choose all of this. I'm going to want you to count all of that. What is my criteria? We said this is 7, and I said I'm going to do anything that's less than 4. Okay? I click OK, and it's going to give me 7. That means there are 7 people who got less than 4 in this one. Now I'm going to copy all of this all the way to the end, but I'm going to change. I'm going to make a little change. You'll see why. This one here, it probably does work because it's out of 8, so I can leave the 4 there. The next one, it has 6, so I need to change that basically to 3. Again, these numbers, you can play around with them, but I'm giving this as a sample. That one is 5, so I'm probably going to put that as 3. That one, so I'm actually editing each one separately. That's 5, I'm going to leave that as 3 again. Next one is 6, I'm going to leave that as 3. Next one is going to be 8, I'm going to leave it at 4. Next one is 6, I'm going to make it 3. You will notice that the numbers are changing. The next one is out of 5, so I'm going to make that 3. Next one is out of 3, I'm going to make that 2. All right? Now, you can reverse for the next one. So this one, we said we counted anything that's less than 4. For the one under it, we're going to count anything that's greater than or equal 4. So we cover the other area, the other side, which is expected. So I'm going to click f of x there. Again, get my count if. The range is going to be the same area, but my criteria is going to be the reverse of the first one, which is in this case greater than or equal 4. Now, the total of these must be 20. So I'm going to do this just to check that this is working right. And it is, sorry, I do sum for only these two numbers, and it must be 20. And I'm going to drag it all the way there, and as I'm doing this, you will see that it actually is becoming 20. So I'm going to do what I did there, so I'm going to do what I did over there. I'm going to copy this over. If this is confusing, don't worry, it's going to be fixed. The second one is going to be greater than or equal 4, that's fine. The next one is going to be greater than or equal 3. Greater than or equal 3, not 34. So that one was less than 3. That one is greater than or equal. Can you see the equal? How much difference? It actually took 5 out. For that one is going to be, it is going to be greater than or equal 4. I think that's fine. No, that should be greater than or equal 3. That one is going to be greater than or equal 3 again. Next one is going to be greater than or equal 3. Sorry. Next one is going to be greater than or equal 5. Next one, 5 might be 4. This one is less than 4. No, this one will be greater than or equal 4. We might have made a mistake with that one. And that one will be greater than or equal to 3. That one is going to be greater than or equal to 3 again. And that one will be greater than or equal to 2. Okay? Now, these must be 20 because this is how many students I have. So for each question, assuming that all of them sat this test. So I'm just going to get rid of this to get it out of the way because I did it just to check. Now I'm going to create graphs, 2 of them, and then you will see how they can help us. First one, which we've done before, is the average. Remember, I select the name, press the control key, and select the average. And then I choose insert, columns. This is my first graph. This is the average flat out graph. I'm going to move this to another new sheet, and I'm going to call it average. Okay, in there, I'm going to ensure that this is up to 100. Why? Because the percentage is out of 100. So I double click this. Once I double click it, I get this maximum fixed. It has to be 1 to be 100. That's 100, and this is my percentages. And I think we have discussed this enough in class. It's just the idea of how to do it on your own, how to change the names, the titles, add axes, and all that stuff. The next one is, the next graph that I'm going to make is this again, but now with the below expected and expected that we just calculated. Again, I'm going to choose the same one. I'm not going to complicate it with the graphs. This is what I'm going to get. And I'm going to move it to another chart, and I'm going to say expected. Okay, this is what I'm getting. So, how many students do I have? I have 20. So in here, I'm going to make that fixed to 20. Again, this is just repeating. I think I made a mistake there. It's supposed to be 20, not 2. Here we go. Now, what is this telling us? This is telling us for question number 2, for example, how many students are below expected and how many students are at the expected level for that question based on the data that we have given. Now, to make this a little bit more formatted, add some titles and all that, we click on layout. I can have a chart title, center overlay, which is going to be there, and there's going to be, I'm going to call it below expected and expected. Excuse my English. Okay. We might want to add, this is the skill here. Again, if I click on that and I go back to axis titles, I have primary horizontal there, and I'm going to call this question or skill. Okay, and that one over here is going to be number of students on the other side, because this is the number of students who have attained this. So under on the vertical one, I'm going to make it a rotated one, and I'm going to say I'm just double clicking on this. Let me close that. I double click on this and say number of students. Okay, I think this looks very good. I might want to add specific numbers in there, which is possible. Again, I click on this and I go to the layout, data labels at the very end. I could say inside end, which kind of makes sense. There's the 212, and I do the same thing with that title, data labels, and inside end. And now I actually have the numbers if I ever want to look at this and see where are problem areas and the likes. Okay, so what we've done, to repeat, we start with this data. We did all this calculation, created the average graph depicting this data, and the expected graph, which is right there. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know, and I will try to address them.